Happy Thursday evening, everybody. It's actually a couple minutes before 7, but I wanted to get on here and let everything get settled in and let the airplanes fly over before we get started. So if you'll be patient with me, we'll crank it off right at 7 o'clock. You're seeing a picture of my backyard, or just a little snippet of my backyard. Right over my shoulder is a soybean field, which is not mine, but they actually rotate crops back there. So one year we'll have a view of soybeans, and the next year we'll have a view of corn, and then maybe wheat. So it just generally goes back and forth between what they plant. And I'm just kind of keeping an eye on my watch because I do like to start right at 7 o'clock. So we got a few seconds left. Hope everybody's having a good night and had a good day. It's a balmy, about 80 degrees right now here, I think. So it's not too bad. Humidity is horrendous, but we learned to survive it, and wouldn't really want to live anywhere else. Although we've thought about living up somewhere else, but we're not going to. Got too much invested in our community. There we go, 7 o'clock. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in and checking out another version of my Facebook Live. If you just got on, I was just telling the early birds of it that we got a soybean field back behind me here, and that's the view that we get to watch and look out at every morning. Usually in the morning we can either see turkey or deer out there. It's kind of hard to see the turkeys now because their heads just barely make it above the plants, so they kind of look like little Loch Ness monsters going through there, but they're pretty neat to watch. When they first planted that field, we had hundreds of turkeys out there, so it's pretty cool to watch. I am coming from our backyard, which is our peaceful spot that we just love to be. Now, having said that, we do have a train that runs over yonder. And if you're not from the south, yonder is not only a direction, but it is a distance. So over yonder is, you can see the trees back over here, maybe a little bit right back through there. And then up above the top over there is the railroad track. So we just had a train come through about 30 minutes ago, so I'm hoping that we don't have another train come through for the next 30 minutes. But if it does, I'm just going to stop, because as far away as it is, it sounds like it's going to run me over. So that's just one of those joys of life that you have to get used to. Okay, I want to talk to you tonight for just a minute about my top 5 life hacks for living a peaceful and successful, prosperous life. My journey in this quest started many years ago. I was introduced to the self-help literature and tapes and videos and that back in the late 70s. Got involved in insurance sales, and one friend of mine that was one of my mentors at the time introduced me to Og Mandino's books, The Greatest Salesman in the World and The Greatest Secret in the World, and a couple others. But since that time, I have read probably every classic self-help book or positive thinking book that there is. I worked for Dale Carnegie Training for a while, and if you are too old to remember Dale Carnegie Training, they are still in existence, and I would recommend that if you get a chance to take one, by all means do. They have several different trainings. The one that they're most well known for is their course on human relations and public speaking, but they also have sales courses and that kind of thing. But my entire career, adult career, I have stayed pretty close to the positive thinking genre, and have tried many times to keep it incorporated in my life. But as all of us know, sooner or later life kind of slides in there and hands you some little stumbling blocks, and so it's difficult to keep that peaceful, positive vibe going. So I'm going to give you 5 things that I do, and Brenda does with me, that help us keep our lives centered on our goals, and also helps us navigate the waters of negativity. So, life hack number 1. This one is a hard one because it requires great fortitude, I would say. First one is to eliminate negativity out of your life. Now, you know as well as I do that negativity is all around us. You can't hardly get away from it, but you can limit it. Some of the things that we've done that has drastically reduced the negativity and improved our peaceful existence here at home. The first one was to stop watching the news. I wouldn't say that I was a news junkie, but I kept my ears and eyes open, and I stayed current on all the affairs of the world, the happenings and all that. But then I decided that just consumed so much of my energy that I just couldn't do that anymore. So we made a commitment that we were going to stop watching the news. Now, this is not a head in the sand type thing, because you can't escape the events of the world. So through osmosis, or just listening to conversations in the restaurant or whatever, or just if you open up your Facebook page, you're bound to see something. So having said that, it is for me, it's like watching a soap opera. I don't know how many of your soap opera junkies, but way back in the 70s when I was younger and dumber, I started watching one of the popular soap operas of the time, and I think it may still be going on. I'm not really sure. But I was kind of interesting to know that if you stopped watching it for any length of time, years, for example, you could turn it back on, and not having been involved in that storyline for that length of time, it takes you about 5 minutes to get caught up, and you know where everybody is and who got killed and who's not married to whom, and all of that stuff. Same thing is true with the news. You're going to stay relatively current, but you're only going to be current on the things that matter to you. You're not going to get all the little nuts and bolts of who shot who, and the negative things about the police and the military and the African Americans against the whites, and that stuff is just, it's a waste of energy. Sadly to say, our media, I believe, is geared toward making that stuff front and foremost in our minds. I've said many times that our media preaches fear, and as long as they can put fear out there and catch our attention for that little second, then they attract us in, and they sell advertising and all that kind of stuff. So they make money off of our misery, and I'm not going to let them do that anymore. So I've eliminated news whatsoever. I've eliminated a lot of television. We were talking just the other day, I bet our television hasn't been on, other than the kids being here, the grandkids watching cartoons and that. Our television hasn't been on in a month. And I don't miss it. And I was a television junkie, I can tell you that. I watched, procedural crime dramas and comedy and all that kind of stuff. But I've replaced all of that. It's not like I sit around and watch the walls, the shadows on the wall, as the Statler brothers used to say, flowers on the wall. But by doing that, I eliminate the violence. I eliminate the dysfunction. As you see in every comedy show, it's always about a dysfunctional family of some sort, and we make fun of that, which I think translates to us in judgment. We end up judging the people that we come in contact with, and you and I both know that that's not good for us. There's been millions of sermons preached over the history of time on do not judge. So I feel like that just keeps that from staying in my head all the time, and I don't go to bed thinking about the drama that I just watched. Betrayal and dishonesty, that's prevalent in TV today. That's the storyline. That's where we all get interested and grab hold of the television show. The other thing that you're going to have to do in order to eliminate negativity is you're going to have to clean out some of the people that you are around. Take a look at them. If they're negative people, and if they gripe and complain and criticize and judge and all that, you're better off moving away from them and changing your circle of friends or whatever, because it's going to be important to you. Because I know that the people that I'm talking to on this Facebook Live program are interested either in, number one, being more peaceful, and number two, being more peaceful, prosperous, successful, and everything else. So in order to be successful and peaceful, get rid of the negativity in your life, which, that kind of brings me back to where we are right now, and that's on Facebook. Facebook is the greatest medium that's come down the pike for keeping us all connected, and I love it, and I also hate it, because there's some things about it that you have to kind of work to keep from having it pop up all the time. But the neat thing about Facebook, and the neat little button up there at the top, is that when you see somebody that you don't necessarily want to unfriend, you can unfollow them. And you won't see them every time, but they'll see you until they maybe figure out that you're not following them, and then they're going to cut you off too. But it's no loss, because you're not going to miss that kind of thing. You're not going to miss the drama. You're not going to miss the political BS, and you're not going to get involved in all the arguments back and forth and that sort of thing. So get rid of the drama and the gossip and the politics and all that on Facebook. Clean your Facebook page up, post positive things, look at positive things, and you'll be a lot better in your lifetime. The second thing that we have done, and I think this is extremely important, or has been extremely important in our transformation, and I do believe it is a transformation. You may not see it at first, but at some point you're going to go, gosh, what did I do before? I used to watch hours of TV. Now I don't. So, you'll see the transformation. It may take you a while to. But this is the second thing. The second one is develop a positive routine. There's books out right now, and have been books in the past. There's tons of literature on this concept. One of the best books that I've read lately is called The Miracle Morning. Miracle Morning just talks about the routine that you set up as soon as you get out of bed, so that your day starts on a positive note and gets you out and moving, and just helps you maintain that positive feeling. So we started getting up early. We used to go to bed about 11 or 11:30, and we'd get up at 7 to 8. If Brenda didn't roust me out of the bed, it was 8 o'clock for me. So we started going to bed earlier, and we started getting up earlier. So we now are in bed by 10:30, and I'm up at 5:30 most mornings, and then Brenda gets up around 6. We go work out, come back and eat breakfast, and we do our other parts of the routine. So one of the first things that we do, which we didn't used to do, and I couldn't really see the point in doing it, but the first thing we do as soon as we get out of bed is make our bed. I don't know if you saw the video from retired Admiral William McRaven. Well, he does a whole talk to a graduating academy class on making your bed. And the theory is that if you do those small things every day, it helps you do the bigger things later on in the day. So before we walk out of the house, before we leave our bedroom, our bed is made every day. And I swear that's true. Every day we make our bed. Then, as I said earlier, we go work out. And that's another switch for us. I have never been an exerciser, never liked exercising, and I avoided it at all costs. But we made a commitment to getting ourselves more fit and to losing some weight, eating better, and that kind of thing. So we exercise 4 days a week, at least 4 days a week. We generally take a break from the gym on Wednesday, but on that Wednesday we may go down to the Greenway and do a 4.5 mile walk. So it's not like we don't exercise on that break day, but we do concentrate on getting out and getting active, which has a lot of ramifications. It not only makes me feel better and makes me healthier, but we've come to know several interesting people by going to, we go to our local Y, but any gym that you feel comfortable at, just get up and go, get up and exercise. And, don't let age be your excuse. We have people there that show up every morning at the Y. One gentleman has got to be close to 90, but he's there pretty much every day, and he walks the track. He's not fast. He don't care to be fast, but he walks that track. We have several other people our age that get out and go. So don't let age be a factor. Get up, get moving, make yourself feel better. I guarantee you, I have energy out the wazoo, and it's phenomenal to me. It just boggles my mind. I was telling Brenda the other day, I used to never like to mow the yard. Yard work has never in my life been something that I enjoy doing. But now we fired our yard guy, and I mow the yard at least once a week and maybe twice a week, because now it's kind of like I can't wait to get out there and mow the yard. I get out with my little measuring stick, and if it's a 1/4 inch high, I start sharpening the blade on the mower, and I get out there and go. Because number one, you burn about 500 calories. If you take an hour, now I'm talking about a push mower, I'm not talking about your John Deere rider or your zero turn rider. I'm talking about push mower. In an hour's time mowing the yard, you'll burn 500 calories. And if in this type of environment like we live in, you'll sweat a lot of stuff out of your body. So exercise. Next thing, as soon as we get back home, while we're exercising, but then again, as soon as we get home, we hydrate. And that's very important because not only does the exercise take water out of your body, just the time that you spend sleeping, you lose water. So the first thing we do in the morning is we keep water by our bed, but the first thing that we do in the morning is start drinking water. We drink water while we're exercising, we drink water when we get back, and we drink water during the day. So stay hydrated, especially in the summertime heat. It's very important. One thing that I do every day is I read for 30 minutes. Now, reading seems to be something that is not very prevalent. Although I did see some statistics today that said 76% of Americans have read at least one book this year, which that kind of surprised me. But I've learned to read 30 minutes, and it doesn't have to be, like how to make $1 million. It can be anything. It can be a story. So it could be literature. It could be poetry. It could be something instructional. But read something that gets your mind going and gets you into the mindset. I don't know if you've ever watched Jim Quick. His last name is Q-U-I-K, and that is his real name. He teaches a memory course and different mind processes that will help you improve your thinking. And at my age, with the threat of Alzheimer's and that kind of thing, keeping my brain active is one of the things that I do not take lightly. The next thing on your routine is start a gratitude journal. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this later, but you can do it at night when you go to bed or in the morning when you wake up. But sit down and write down at least 3 things that you're grateful for. And you can do it both night and day, but 3 things that you're grateful for. And it can be the simplest thing, but you will find as you start doing this, you will find things that you're grateful for that you don't even think about anymore. I don't know if you are picking up the sound of the crickets in the air, but I'm grateful for those, because that is music to me. To sit out here and just not hear anything but crickets and birds is the greatest thing that you will do. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is to create a good bedtime routine. And this is extremely important, especially if you, Brenda just reminded me, we also do our devotional every morning. We do that together. And that's one of our favorite times together. But the bedtime routine is going to be extremely important to you, especially if you're my age. But it's vitally important to younger people because they tend to get less sleep than they need. So create a good bedtime routine. You can read a book. So part of your 30 minutes a day or another 30 minutes a day can be done reading. Now, there is a catch to that. Your reading has to be from a real, honest-to-goodness, hands-on book. Not my Kindle or not my laptop or not my phone or something like that, because you do not want electronics at that point of the night. So keep a book by your bed and read, because you'll find that you'll go to sleep easier. Your mind will be quiet when you go to bed, and you won't have those. And I don't know if I'm the only one. I know Brenda does, but we get up in the morning sometimes and say, if I didn't sleep well last night because I couldn't shut my mind off. Well, reading helps you shut your mind off. It will kind of gradually get you into a mindset of going to sleep, and you will appreciate that. This is another time when you can do your grateful journal. So again, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. It can be the fact that you've got shoes to wear and you don't have to walk on the rocks. It doesn't matter. Just something that you're grateful for. And I guarantee you will have a hard time limiting that to 3 times once you get started. This is the tough one, and this is what I talked about a while ago, just a second ago. Turn off all your electronics. Put your phone on airplane mode, turn it off. I personally put mine on Do Not Disturb from like 10 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning. That means nobody can get through on my phone except the people that are in my favorites list. So that's got my daughters and people like brothers and sisters, somebody that might need to get a hold of you in a hurry. But anyone else, if they send you a text, and I know this is the God's honest truth, it irritates me to death for somebody to text me after midnight. And fortunately, with the Do Not Disturb, I don't have to worry about that. That text will be there the next day. So turn off your electronics. This is one that's never been an issue for us because we've never allowed a TV in our bedroom. So if you've got a TV in your bedroom, don't turn it on when you're getting ready to go to bed. That's that's the absolute worst thing that you can do, because all you got to do is see one little news snippet of something bad happening, and everything that you've done for that day is out the door. So no television, no cell phones, no laptops, no Kindles, no tablets, no nothing. Turn them off. I've got a reminder on my phone at 9:30. It says it's time for bed, and that's when we start trying to turn things off. The next thing that is vital to good sleep is keep your room as dark as possible. And if you can't eliminate all the light, and if you look around your room, you probably will be surprised at the little blue lights. Every little power cord that you've got stuck in there is charging your phone or charging your laptop or whatever. It's got that little bitty light. So try and eliminate all of those. Either cover them up, unplug them, or whatever. But if you cannot do that, go to Walmart or the drugstore or the grocery store and buy you a mask to wear. I guarantee you that will eliminate many things out of your sleep. And I've started wearing my Garmin Connect, which I got for Father's Day from my daughter, and it monitors my sleep patterns. And I've started watching how my deep sleep increases as I'm sleeping, if I'm wearing a mask or if I'm not wearing a mask. And that's a trick I learned years ago when I was traveling, because a lot of times when I was working in a refinery, I'd be on the night shift, so that meant I slept during the day. So you can imagine there's no way of cutting out all that light. So I would actually wear my eye mask, and I had these silicone earplugs that you can get from Walmart stuck in my ears, and I promise you the housekeeping people could have come in and vacuumed my floor and done everything, and I would have never known it. Fortunately they didn't, because that would have been a little bit embarrassing. But anyway, another thing, this is a tip, and I've actually tried this and used it, but I end up having to get up to do this, is to keep a notepad by your bed. And if you have an idea that comes up, write it down, because if you're like me, if you don't write it down that minute, you are not going to remember it at 6 a.m. in the morning. It's just going to go. It evaporates somewhere. So, read a book, do your grateful journal, and I missed this one. Write down 3 things that you want to accomplish the next day. That was the one I missed. So do your gratitude journal. Write down 3 things that you want to accomplish the next day. Turn off all your electronics. Keep your room dark, and we also keep our room very cold. Our house is very cold, and in the summer, winter, it doesn't matter. We set our temperature at 69 degrees, and anybody that stayed here will tell you our house is cold, but you sleep better in cold. And then the last thing, keep a notepad by your bed. Okay, number 4, and I'm going to try and move on pretty quick because I know I'm taking up a lot of time. Number 4 is to practice spirituality. Now, I'm not one to push religion or anything like that, but spirituality transcends religion. You can pray, you can meditate, you can do yoga, whatever it is that gets you centered to a place where you can commune with your higher power, whatever you call that. My most favorite thing to do at 5:30, because I generally have 30 minutes before Brenda gets up, so I come out here and I just listen. I listen to all the sounds, and that's just one of the most wonderful things that I do. It's so peaceful, and it just kind of kickstarts my day. I don't know if you're an Eagles fan, but they had a song on their first reunion album called Hell Freezes Over, and that song was called Learn to Be Still, and I've loved that song since the day I heard it. And I think this is a very important thing. As I mentioned, I come out here and sit and just listen. Too many of us cannot be still, and that is detrimental to not only your mental health but your spiritual health or whatever. God cannot talk to you when you're running. He talks to you when you're still and when you're quiet. If you read in the Bible, it talks about going into your prayer closet, being still and alone and communing with however you classify that spiritual being or the universe or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Just get to a spot where you can sit and be quiet for a little while. Number 5 goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. Read. I challenge you, and this is something that I try to do and have been successful at doing it for some time now. I try to read one book a week. Now, I'm talking about a book that's bigger than a comic book. But read one book a week. And there are so many books out there. If you've got a Kindle, you have a library available to you that is just monstrous. If you don't have a Kindle, or if you still like the regular books, which I love both of them, go to your library. Check out books. I recommend books that not necessarily teach you something, but something that expands your mind. It can be literature, it can be philosophy, it can be religion. It doesn't matter. It's just something that gets you to sit still for a little while, because I can guarantee you, and this has been my experience my entire life, when God wants to get a message to me, he does it when I'm reading. Because I'll see something. I made a comment to a group of pastors one time that truth is truth, and you can get truth from anything, from anywhere, from any place, from any book. And that is, I believe that to be true. Truth will slap you in the face when you're reading a book, more so than if you're listening to Def Leppard, on the radio, whatever. I read instead of TV, and believe me, I don't miss TV whatsoever. And when I say I was a TV junkie, I was a TV junkie. I surpassed the Nielsen scale of how many hours a person spent on TV. So I'm the poster child for this. Read instead of TV. You will find your life to be much more pleasant and peaceful. Read, as I said, read something inspirational, instructional, positive. Doesn't matter. Just read. The Huffington Post said today, as I was doing some research for this, that Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. And I saw he and Warren Buffett on an interview. It was been some time ago, but I just watched it again the other day. And that's one of the things that both of them do. They read. They're voracious readers. And there's a saying in the positive thinking community or whatever, readers are leaders. That's because your brain gets going and it gets off of the negative stuff, gets into a cruise-controlled state where you can move forward and do great things. Now, that should have been number 5. If you're keeping score. If it's not, let me know if I skipped one. But I do have a bonus for you. This is probably could be one of the most difficult things that you'll ever do, but it's also one of the most powerful things that you will do, and that is to surround yourself with positive people. Eliminate, as I started out, eliminate the negative. There's so much negative in the world. Why surround yourself with people that are just as negative as the newscast? And we're constantly bombarded by people that whine and cry and poor pitiful me. And I'm as sensitive to the plight of the underprivileged as anybody. But I'm also very critical of somebody that is healthy and able to work and has the mental capacity to do great things, I'm very critical of the fact that they stand around or sit around and whine about how their life is. You can change your life. You can change your life in an instant if you put your heart into it, and just make a commitment to change it. There's a saying that you are the average of the 5 closest people that surround you. So, as a little test, check out the 5 closest people that you're around the most. I'm not talking about any 5 people, the 5 people that you're around the most, and examine them for their negativity or their negative input to your life. Now, I'm probably going to have to put a disclaimer in there. If it's your husband or your wife, you might want to go work on that. Don't necessarily throw them away because they're negative, because something causes people to be negative. So marriage requires work, so do the work. Don't throw the marriage away. But form new friendships. Get out and meet people that do interesting stuff. We've started getting involved in the community of artists that we have here in Springfield, and it's amazing how many creative people that we have here, and they're all interesting. Everybody's got a story. So that's my 5 hacks plus a bonus to make your life more peaceful, more prosperous, and more positive. Had to think for a minute there. So this is the last one of my blogs and videos for the week. So the next one's going to be Monday. Monday's blog is going to be called Stay in Your Lane. And if you'll learn about me that I title stuff very obscurely so that it creates a little mystery in your mind. So you'll want to read that blog, and you can get our blog, find our blog on kenandbrenda.com. Just go to the menu when you get there, look for blog, and there's a couple videos, and we'll be posting more videos. This one will actually be posted on there by tomorrow. But there's also blogs that I've written and some of the stuff that runs through my head, which sometimes scares me. But then Tuesday, the live video that I'm going to be doing on Tuesday is going to be about training. And when I say training, I'm talking about mental training, training to do your job, whatever kind of training that you do. But I'm going to title this one that to not overload yourself with training, because you can do that. You can overtrain. So stay tuned for next week. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Go out and do something wonderful this weekend. Meet some new people. Make somebody smile. There is nothing more positive than a smile, and they're so contagious. It's kind of like a yawn. If somebody sees you smiling, they can't help but smile. So smile a lot, love a lot, get out there and do something positive for the world and for yourself. So see you later.